Hi, good morning. Welcome everyone. We're going to go ahead and get started. Thank you all so much for being here today. This is a great full house, so I'm really happy to have us all here today. My name is Kelsey Ellis. I am the Impact Program Manager at ZAP. So our other ZAP team members, we're filling in the room over here. Samantha Thermos is our Program Director. Cody Getz is our Grants and Communication Coordinator. And then Dustin Berkey, he's our Program Assistant. If you have any questions for ZAP or just want to come up and say hi, we're here all day, so feel free to come drop by and say hi. A few logistics today. So we will be in this room for the panel presentations. And then if you notice, we have 2 breakout sessions in this room. Our other 2 breakout sessions will be in the lobby. If you need restrooms, right out these doors at the other end of the lobby on the right-hand side. That's also where we have some drinking fountains. There's some snacks and food out there too, so make sure you grab some while you're here today. And again, if you have questions for any of our team members, we'll be sprinkled around. Okay, so just kind of setting the stage for us today. When I think about branding, I really think about it as our mission and vision and values really on display. And the type of communication tactics we use can really bring that to life, can really tell our message through how we're talking to our community. So today we're going to talk about that through a few different ways. The first, the one our ZAP team is most excited about, is that we have our new logo. It's our refreshed logo. So we're going to show that to you, and while we're showing you, we're also going to tell you about our process and how we really got there. So we had an amazing design team that we worked with to really help us take those steps. Then we have some news and updates. So what's on the ZAP horizon? Cody will tell us a little bit about that. And then the amazing humans at the other end of the table will give us a panel presentation. We should have some time for questions at the end, but if not, we're all going to be here after as well, and also during those breakout sessions. So a few of our presenters will be in those breakout sessions if you want to continue the conversations, and then we have a few other people who are joining us for that part of it. So really, without further ado, I'm going to turn the time over to Rumor. So Rumor Advertising is one of Utah's premier full-service ad agencies with over 28 years of experience. Their expertise comes from their innate ability to simplify and distill concepts into positive, aspirational, and simple messages, and distribute them to the right people at the right time. And I will say this is very true for us. This is the experience we've had. They've partnered with other organizations such as Utah Systems of Higher Education, University of Utah Health, Real Salt Lake, Utah's Governor's Office of Economic Development, and many, many others. So who we have today, Lindsay, so she's replacing Andres right now, and then Sadie as well, Superior team members we work with. So welcome.
It's good to be here today. As Kelsey said, I'm Sadie. I'm the account executive on this ZAP account, and we've had so much fun working with the amazing team and just going through the whole process of updating such a powerful and meaningful logo. Oh, I guess I can put next on this. So some of you have seen it around already a little bit, but kind of when Kelsey and the ZAP team came to us, they were just looking for a little bit of a refresh, something a little bit more modern. They didn't want to take away from the meaning that the current ZAP logo has, and that everybody can resonate with that in one way or another. So we really just kind of wanted to strengthen the story that was already being told, and just have a better connection with the community, the people that utilize it. So we kind of had some key points of why we were updating the logo. Again, the ZAP acronym wasn't quite communicated as properly as we would like it to be, so people could see the logo and really fully understand what the point that was getting across. Again, some of the jagged edges and icons just needed a more polished look. The zoo icon also needed to be replaced because the Hoho Zoo no longer has elephants, so we wanted to keep that current as well. And then the zapisu.org tagline and URL just needed to be removed from the primary logo. It kind of made it a little clunky, and we just kind of wanted a cleaner look. And then again, the Salt Lake County updated their branding, so we needed to add that into this logo as well. And then the parks was actually represented twice in the 4 quadrants of the logo. So we kind of wanted to make sure everything was represented and then just a more unified look. So for our process, we obviously met with the ZAP team a lot. We had plenty of interviews and discussions with them and kind of what they were looking for and what the grantees were looking for with the logo. And we actually went to the zoo to see the logos in person and to just kind of get a better idea of parts of ZAP and really understand it for our team, not knowing too much about it. And then, yeah, we just learned a lot about the grantees as well and drew a lot of inspiration from everything that you guys are doing with the ZAP logo. Just wanted to make it work for everybody. Here's our team at the zoo. It was cold when we went, but we had a lot of fun.
So the on-site visits were some of my favorite parts of this project. And after doing a lot of researching and discovery, we made a few renditions of the logo and finally came to a conclusion with the new logo design. So I'll walk us through some of the design choices for the decision for this new logo. Overall, ZAP really wanted a logo that wasn't a complete reinvention, but more of an extension and revised version of their previous logo. So we kept the 4-square layout that's familiar to the previous design that ZAP's been using for many, many years. This will help with the overall brand transition and going into the new brand, keeping some of those familiar elements. But it also allowed us room for modern refinements within the logo. And then what we've done as well is instead of relying on the acronym ZAP, which many people did not know really what that meant, especially outside of people working within these programs. So we've added in Zoo, Arts, and Parks spelled out. This really just eliminates confusion, and this way we can really communicate the program's purpose. To keep the acronym in there, though, we've created a second version of the logo that has ZAP highlighted in different colors. So this was a way just to retain that acronym and bring it into the new design. And then for the Salt Lake County brand, they updated their logo, so we made sure that this falls in line with those standards. And then we decided on the black version of the Salt Lake County logo, just because there's already so much colors in this logo, we didn't want to overwhelm the design. And then, of course, it appears with full width of the logo lockup. And then another small edit we did was we removed the dividing line between the ZAP logo and then the Salt Lake County logo, just removing elements that didn't need to be there and making it a more unified and balanced lockup. So I'll talk about the icons a little bit. Overall, we leaned away from the more realistic cutouts that were in the previous logo and moved to a more contemporary, simple icons style. And this way, it would read a little bit better when the logo is in small, reduced sizes with these more clean shapes. And for the zoo icon, to replace the elephant, we chose on a bird because this better represents the 3 zoo-related programs for ZAP. And then it's a kind of an abstract bird that can represent multiple different types, making it very versatile. And then we have the same artist palette retained for the arts icon. This is just a refined design with a more distinguished paintbrush, and then we added some paint dollops for more stylization and clarity. And then the parks icon, the green one down on the bottom right, was really inspired by recognizable park symbols, and that would just be easier for public recognition of what this icon stands for, and shows outdoor spaces without having that close-up tree or the soccer icon that was in the logo. So zoo, arts, and parks, that's 3 things, but we wanted to keep the 4 squares from the previous logo. So we had this extra space, and we thought, what better to tell the story of ZAP than including the community icon. So this replaces the double park icon, and it depicts people coming together and can represent people who work with ZAP, or people who support ZAP, or people who enjoy what ZAP makes possible. So we thought this was a great addition to really tell a story in the new icons. Okay, and here are some different varieties of the logo. We have the horizontal and the vertical versions, just to make it more adaptable to different formats. And then we again have the secondary version of the ZAP highlighted. And then we have the logo mark, which is great for smaller places or where the main logo doesn't always need to be represented. And then along with all the ZAP logos, we created the Zoo Arts and Parks Impact Program logo using that same square shape and cutout icon style, just to have a different look, but also feel like it all belongs within the ZAP logo family. And then, as a part of the refresh, we also explored some messaging directions to help unify how ZAP communicates. We landed on kind of 2 focus areas for the communication. One of them is inspired by previous ZAP communication that is really you-focused, especially with the ZAP is you tagline that was used. We really wanted to continue this because it puts the audience in the center, and it really emphasizes the community and the gratitude and the shared ownership of ZAP. It's very personal, it's inviting language, and very inspiring. So some taglines examples for this would be more to see, more to do, thanks to you. Or powered by ZAP, funded by you, enjoyed by all. Or your support brings Zoo Arts and Parks to life. And then the other focus is more program focused, and we wanted to kind of highlight all the variety that ZAP brings and really highlight its purpose within Salt Lake County. And this is a more like professional tone. Some examples of this could be enriching life in Salt Lake County, or celebrating culture, creativity, and connection, or a fun one is from lines to lyrics, ZAP makes it possible. And we'll dive a little bit more into the importance of messaging when we get to our breakout section. So here's how the brand can come to life through some application examples. Some stationery, some letterhead, business cards. We created a pattern with the icons there. Here's some updated signage and possible poster lockups. We really love the messaging of powered by ZAP, funded by you, enjoyed by all. And it's a really versatile brand, and it can show up in many different forms, whether digital or print, where ZAP is found in many different areas. Okay, and that's what we have for today. Thanks for letting us share this creative process with you guys.
Did you know that you can obsess hours over an ampersand? Like, really? Like, curved lines, tiny corners? But it's truly amazing how these little tweaks and little observations that we've made through this process not only make us really excited about how we communicate about ZAP, but that people piece, the community icon that got added, sometimes I think we get so caught up in the messaging and the transactional information that we're doing with our community that we're here for the people and our community. And so when we see that there, it was a light bulb moment for us. So we really appreciate that. Thank you so much. And so to tell you a little bit more about how our new logo might impact your lives as grantees, Cody's going to tell you kind of what's up next.
Good morning, friends. How are we doing this morning? Good? Okay, show of hands, who are my marketing and communications folks that are in the room? Okay, good. This next part, as related to being a ZAP grantee, is going to be super important. So, if you're like me and the new things are like kind of give you a little bit of anxiety, you're like, and excitement all at the same time, we're going to give you all a long off-ramp for current materials usage. So as you start changing out the ZAP logo and your collateral, we'd love to have it phased out by the end of 2026. So we're going to give you a full year. So if you've gotten stuff already, start using it, but start updating it now. The other thing that we have available on our website will be, as for grantees, we have our logo usage and acknowledgement guide. So that is going to be on our website where you can really see the guidelines, some of the rules on how we'd like the logo to be used on your posters, banners, flyers, as you're promoting ZAP in the community. What's available right now? So we have new digital logo files and guide on our website. Our website's being updated as we speak. And we also have a collateral and swag wish list. So you may have seen in the tables out in the lobby, new banners with the new logo, the new colors. They look really exciting. We actually have a wish list form, either in a QR code or digital form or paper version, that we want to just know, what does your organization need? What type of banners do you want displayed at your organization and or your events? What type of swag are you wanting to give away to folks in the community at your events? And so we've got ZAP branded swag. So that's an order wish list. So tell us what you want. We're going to order it all in bulk, and it's going to be available for you to pick up at our ZAP open house in February, on Thursday, February 12th, 2026, right here in this building. So a couple other things about ZAP Happenings, what's going on. So you may have noticed our social media has been a little bit better in the last couple of weeks. We're posting a lot, we're getting more, we're engaging more. So I want you to connect with Dustin, who's in the back. He has been doing all of our social media work. Share your posts, share your stories, tag us. We want to promote you and the work that you do in the community. So please, please, please tag us at SlitCoZap on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. And we also have the opportunity for you to, we all know you're designing social media collateral for your events and you're posting it on your socials. So make sure to send that to us and we'll post it on our social pages. We'll have posts about your events where you can also invite our board members. So we've combined one convenient form on our website where you can upload an invitation to our advisory boards, Tier 1 and Tier 2, to your events to come connect with the organization, as well as uploading that social media collateral. Does that make sense? Yeah? Okay, now one last thing. How many of y'all write the ZAP grants? Okay, so we've got a couple. So this is really important news for you. We're getting a new grant platform. I don't know about y'all, but we are so excited to be saying goodbye to Zoom grants. So we're going to keep you informed as we roll out that process. We know that there's a lot that might be changing, so we're going to be going through it together. So please stay connected with us through our newsletter and social media. We will have more announcements when we have more information to share with y'all. And I'm going to bring Kelsey back up, and she's going to lead us to the next part.
Okay, I don't know about you, but that song, Ding Dong, the Witch is Dead, goes through my head when you're about to grants transition right now. Joyful moments for the ZAP team. Okay, so to talk a little bit more about how some of our grantees are really successfully putting those communication tactics to use and using that to amplify their brand identity. Our first speaker today, we have Mindy Wilson. She has more than a dozen years of experience in marketing for cultural nonprofits. First at the Utah Museum of Fine Arts and now at Breakout Garden and Arboretum, where she is the marketing and PR director. She's a writer and editor at heart, and Mindy came to marketing in Utah after a career in editing, publishing, and reporting in her native South. She has a BA in journalism from the University of Louisiana Monroe and an MFA in creative writing from the University of Alabama. She is a member of the Visit Salt Lake Partnership Committee and will join the board of the Utah Museums Association in 2026. So join me in welcoming Mindy.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for being here. I'm really glad to be here. Mindy Wilson, Marketing and PR Director at Breakout Garden. I was born in the South, and now I think I'm a mountain girl. I think I would miss it if I left. Before I get started, I just want to call out two really important people in the audience. Leslie Hanna, our graphic designer, and Peter Kane, our social media coordinator. You're gonna see and hear about some of their work in this, and they've been really critical part of our successful brand journey. So when we started thinking about a brand refresh in the fall of 2023, We were approaching a milestone at the garden, our 40th anniversary, which is this year. And we were thinking about how far we've come and how far we hope to go. So the garden, I think, is a thriving institution, a well-loved community asset. We have relatively new leadership there and really exciting plans for future growth. And the brand is well established and really admired. It's where a lot of people come to make memories, celebrate life's milestones, revel in the changing seasons, and yes, enjoy music in one of the most iconic outdoor venues in the valley. But it is really so much more than that. For 40 years, we've been cultivating 100 acres of gardens and natural areas, protecting this beautiful little pocket of the foothills in order to connect people with the outdoors. We use it to bring thousands of kids and connect them with the outdoors, sometimes for their first time. Some of these kids are going on a hike or being under a mountain for the very first time, and they're learning through hands-on science education. We create experiences across the board to inspire people to embrace plants and trees and really experience the mental and physical health benefits of being outdoors. Really, really so important. So how do we get that bigger picture story out there? Express all that the garden is and hopes to be. I'm going to take you through the journey that led us to where we are, a rebrand or a brand refresh, really, and highlight some key steps that I hope are takeaways from you. What I want you to be able to do is leave this and have some ways to think about how to communicate your own brand more effectively. So key parts for us in this journey were really defining the organization's personality, who we are, understanding our audiences a little bit better and what they value, especially what they value about the garden experience, and then finding in the meeting there, in the overlap, the brand story and ways to communicate that really can deepen our connections with our existing audiences and attract new audiences to the garden. Let me say that that's our Four Seasons garden right outside the visitor center. That was taken fall of last year, right around this time, and it's looking like that right now, so you need to come. Spring gets all the hoopla, but fall at the garden is just as gorgeous, right? Yeah, those fantastic ornamental glasses you see in the foreground are really, this is their season. This is when they really show out. So we went into the process with some organizational values and goals that were really sort of our starting place. So first of all, the garden's mission, to connect people with plants and the beauty of living landscapes. And then we had a strategic plan goal to elevate the garden as a center of horticultural expertise, plant-based science education, cultural enrichment, and environmental stewardship. It was really important to us to honor the past and stay true to our roots, while updating and refreshing the brand for really a new era in the garden's growth. We worked with a local agency who helped lead us through this process, and we put together a cross-departmental team. And this was really important for a lot of reasons. There was somebody from every facet of the organization. There were managers and non-managers. There were folks who had been there 20 plus years and brand new people on the team. Because it was really important to get insights from across the organization so that we were really representative in how we refresh the brand. And that's really going to be important down the line when it's come times for buy-in and for everybody to feel a sense of ownership of this new message, that it's really come from and it's representative. Not necessarily a democratic process, but it is an inclusive process, or it was for us, I would say. Through two brainstorms, we really identified a brand personality that has two major attributes. That is about the expertise that we provide and the transformative potential of the experience that we offer. So we feel like we are passionate experts, passionate about plants, and about sharing that passion with other people. And it's a really accessible passion. We are on the University of Utah campus and part of that institution, but we're not really an ivory tower kind of place at all. We're really about meeting people where they are. And I think what you're seeing in these two photographs are a couple of our hort experts. One on the left, Neil, working with volunteers in the natural area, and Lindsay on the right, teaching children. And that's really the Redview vibe right there. We're really proud of it. The other sort of secondary piece of ours, or brand personality, was that we're always changing. The garden's changing not just season to season and week to week, but really from morning to dusk. It's a very different experience there. And it's, most importantly, I think, a place where the community can come, change, and grow as well. So while we were looking in the mirror, we were also looking out too at the audience, the people we serve. We did interviews, the agency, I'll say, did interviews with dozens of staff, volunteers, members, and stakeholders. And then we developed and sent out a survey to our full email subscriber list, and ultimately got perspectives from about 1,000 different people. And the key insights about our audience were that people come to learn or to get inspired, obviously the plant lovers, the gardeners, the hobbyists. They come to take a break or to get healthier in some way. And that's everything from university students who are trying to take a break from classwork to cancer survivors to retirees just getting steps in. And importantly, people come to connect with others, whether it's with the family that they bring with them, the friends that they run into at the concert series, or new people that they meet in like a native seed collecting class or in one of our yoga classes. So those were the three things: learning, inspiration, break, connecting with others. So in that overlap between who we are, what we offer, and what people love, that really is guiding our communication strategy going forward. And we have a series of messages that really guide that, from focusing on people and the experiences and emotions you can have in the garden, to really highlighting how we protect this living landscape in the foothills. And as part of that, making sure that people understand concerts as a sub-brand of that entire experience. So the heart of the storytelling strategy for this year was really a brand video. It was a way to introduce the garden in a highly visual and emotionally compelling way, to showcase the beauty of the garden and the ways that guests connect with it. We worked with 2 local videographers who were really great collaborators in developing the plan and making our vision a reality. We had them take a lot of B-roll of events, and then we spent 4 really intensive days interviewing about a dozen folks. That's because we wanted to put testimonials and the guest and human experience at the center of everything, and try to share stories of personal transformation, from veterans who use the garden to recover from PTSD, to donors whose family histories are intertwined with the history of the garden. Really just wanted to showcase the passion of the people who care for and use the garden. It's about almost a 5-minute video, so I'm not showing the whole thing here, but I've got 2 short excerpts from it that I think sort of illustrate some of the messaging priorities that we have.
As I grow older in the garden and watch change, watch the species morph, and watch the different staff come through, I almost feel like I'm a thread of the genealogy of the garden. And I feel as if this garden invites all of us to holistically become part of it for the long term.
So Hala came to us not only with a planned gift, but with this incredible eloquence. We didn't script that for her. That was her take on the garden, and it was incredibly beautiful. It's important to us, like I said, to feature our court staff, to sort of tell the behind-the-scenes story of the garden and everything that goes into it, and the passion and the expertise there. So another segment of this 4-minute video does focus on that piece. And here's a segment of that.
And with a little top dressing of the native soil, will, as it rinses down,
With the
it's just
shade, that's
protecting it from the scald.
Yep.
Everybody really cares about the job that they do, regardless of what their role is at Red Butte Garden.
Some of those kids are so smart that it's almost scary.
Have you ever been into a desert before?
They came together for the love of dirt and what grows in it. It's magic.
Right? Again, not scripted. That's our longest serving volunteer. She's been there longer than the director has, I think. So we used that video, the long version, in a variety of ways. The full-length piece premiered at a donor gala, so we had a captive audience. We also, of course, shared it on our website, YouTube, and through email communications. But what really got the eyes were the shorter clips that we produced from it. It's hard to get people to watch a 4-minute video. So we produced multiple segments, about 4 major segments of about 40 seconds each, that we used throughout the season in a variety of communications, and is like the centerpiece of a paid social media campaign throughout spring and summer. Collectively, the long and short videos got about 42,000 views. Of course, the short pieces got many, many more views. And it's really significant in raising awareness around our 40th anniversary and starting to tell that new story externally about the garden. I think it was also really valuable internally for helping the organization see themselves in a new way. It was really powerful when we showed this video for the first time to the staff. There were tears because people were seeing their work and what they believe about the garden represented externally in a new way. So there's real value to that. Doesn't have to be about a produced video though. Peter, our social media coordinator, has been producing a lot of short, informal reels for Instagram over the past couple of years, longer than that really. And lately we have been focused on using those to introduce the Hort staff, to highlight their work, establish them as experts who are accessible and eager to share what they know. Through those videos, we've been able to share a lot about our natural area, which is an area people don't know a lot about the garden. It's about 70 acres of land where you can hike, and it's relatively pristine, although what we're doing is removing the invasives that come in with human habitation and replanting native species. So it's more like the Bonneville Shoreline Trail, the way that it would have been. We've also featured our arborist. We have a new arborist, and that's important because we're an arboretum. We'll come back to that idea too. And that's really helped to help people understand one of the values of the garden is this urban forest that we cultivate that really contributes to healthy air and quality of life in the community. And those reels, and I could say they were quick and easy to produce, but maybe Peter would have another take on it. But certainly quicker and easier than a produced video through an agency. But each of those reels have averaged between 3,000 and 8,000 views each. And one of those arborist videos that I mentioned got over 10,000 views. So those can be a really great way to get impact without a lot of, at least monetary investment. There's certainly time investment in those. I want to talk a little bit about, of course, the logo and the visual identity. We didn't set out to re-envision the logo. We set out to get our brand story firmed up. But visual messaging is really as important as the words, right? And it's a key part of your visual identity, and it's really driven, this new logo is really driven, I think, our new approach to visual identity. I want to just point out two quick features. The little oak leaf, that's a new graphic icon. It's a redesigned oak leaf, but we've had an oak leaf in the logo for several decades, and that was really important as a connection to our history and the origins of the garden. And we reintegrated the word Arboretum into the logo, which is a really long word to try to bring back into a logo. It's always been part of our name. And I think we're making it work. We're getting used to it, but we're liking it. And again, that's really important, as I said, for part of what our mission is and what we do for the community in the Valley. But just as exciting, I think, as the new logo and the word mark is the new color palette that Leslie, our graphic designer, developed. This is inspired by the colors of the garden, and it's based on the plants, the trees, the sky, and the other physical features that make that place so special. It brings the garden's physical beauty into our communications. It's broadened the palette that Leslie can work with, and it's going to help us distinguish sub-brands of the garden while keeping everything aligned with the same look. So we're really excited about that and started to roll it out. You probably, when you think of Red Butte, think of that dark green and white palette. That's still the basis of our palette, but now we're going to be integrating these other color combos, but they're all rooted literally in garden. This is the cover of our fall member magazine where you're seeing the new fonts and the new logo. But importantly, so plant close-ups and botanical detail has always been important in the garden's imagery, right? Plant lovers want to see that, and that's an important piece. But what has been missing was maybe the human experience. So we've tried to work really hard when we are showing garden locations, as we often are, that we're showing humans in some aspect. It helps provide scale, right? But most importantly, I think it shows you how you can use the garden and the kinds of experiences you can have and the kinds of emotions that you may experience while you're there. So we're paying a lot of attention to that while, of course, highlighting the beauty of this setting. So even in our concert communications, we're leaning more into event images that emphasize the emotions of the guests, the folks that are listening to the music, as well as trying to make sure that there's always some botanical element there, right? Because one of the things that makes that series so amazing is that setting and being outside under the stars with Red Butte Creek rolling by, that breeze coming out of the canyon, you always need a jacket. So we're playing that into everything that we do. And of course, as always, working to make sure that we are representing better and better the diversity of guests that come to the garden, including age, ethnicity, ability, all of that. Here's an example too of how the new look has expanded from not just the member magazine, but into digital ads, and sort of all across of our communications. I think that we found that this work has been pretty incredible internally and externally. It's going to be an important foundation for us. It's going to guide all of our marketing and communications, from how we promote events and how we sell memberships to how we engage donors who are going to help us with our impact. So really excited about it. I hope I hit on the major takeaways for you about the importance of thinking about what makes your organization special, how that aligns with what your audiences are looking for, and then considering how you're communicating those messages visually as well as verbally. We were really grateful we had the capacity to work with brand experts on this, but I think you can adapt these insights if it's just you and your iPhone. I think there's a way that you can make these accessible. So hope that was helpful, and thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mindy. And what I actually really loved about listening to this was, I feel like a lot of us may embark on these rebranding, remessaging journeys, and we're all thinking about the external impact and having that consideration. But this opportunity that you got to reconnect with your internal stakeholders and your team members, to like reconnect with the work, that's like just a wonderful added benefit to this extra work that you put in. So next we're going to have Kari Rice, and she has a career that spans over 2 decades of marketing. She brings strategic and people-centered approach to nonprofit leadership. So as the Director of Marketing and Community Engagement at SpyHop, Kari is dedicated to amplifying the organization's mission through compelling storytelling and audience engagement. Prior to joining SpyHop, Kari held leadership roles across diverse industries, spearheading brand development, marketing operations, and digital strategy for organizations ranging from heritage outdoor brands to legal tech startups. Her expertise includes launching brands to new markets, operationalizing complex processes, and building high-performing teams to drive mission-driven growth. So join me in welcoming Kari.
Hi, so great to be here. Thank you for having me. And thank you. That was really fun to listen to you talk. It's fun to listen to people talk about marketing and nerd out a little bit together. So I'm going to talk. Can you put your hand up if you know who SpyHop is or what we do? All right, that's pretty good. And also, I want all of those hands up. So that's my job. How do we get all of those hands up in the room? Because what we're doing in Salt Lake City is so valuable to the community. And one of our challenges is we're a youth-oriented center. And if you don't have kids that you're sending to SpyHop, why should you care? So we have a lot of conversations in our organization about how do we get people to care about investing in their community and the youth in our community. It's sort of like, why should you pay for public school if you don't have kids in the public school, right? But it lifts the community. So that is a big part of what we are trying to do from a marketing perspective. And I titled this rebranding because we have not rebranded, but we are returning to branding. And I think this is a natural process that happens in any organization. You tighten the reins and then you start to stray. And then you gotta bring it back together again. I've been there about a year. Our graphic designer's been there 11 months. So the two of us have worked tirelessly over the last year to figure out how to make sense of the hundreds of things that are happening within our walls and the community. This is a little bit about me. I resisted putting 50 selfies of me with my mouth wide open. But one thing that I think is really important to my role is that I operationalize complex systems. So yes, I'm into marketing, I am thinking about the audience, but really a lot of what I'm doing is trying to build a system so that we can get more things done and we can all work together. So I think they're gonna make me a t-shirt that says last 10 yards, or squeeze a little more juice out of that lemon. Because we have a history of trying to do another thing instead of getting more value out of the thing we're already doing. And many of you might relate to that concept. Let's just get more from the things we're already putting energy into. So SpyHop's mission is to mentor young people in the media arts and to help them find their voice, tell their stories, and affect positive change in their lives, communities, and the world. So we are building the future. We are building change agents. Our programs create spaces for transformative self-discovery, creative expression, and community. And within that, we do so many, many, many things. We have in-house programs in filmmaking, music, audio engineering, design, which can be anything from comic books to cosplay to 3D printing. We do community programs, which includes POPs, which I'm sure many of you also do. We do statewide programs, and these programs go from anywhere to an hour to a week, sometimes longer. And then we do summer camps for younger kids. A big part of our programs is to finish them with a student celebration. So if our mission is to amplify youth voice, one of the ways that we do this is by letting them perform for their community. So we invite the community to experience the work that the kids have created. Last year we did 31 events and hosted 31 events and it served over 2,500 people. And as I was doing that math, I was like, that's 3 a month. No wonder we feel crazy. So what problem are we trying to solve? Always. We're trying to help the audience quickly, I call it understand the assignment. Like, what are we asking our audience to do or to think or to feel? Like, how can we get them to quickly figure that out? And how do we get the audience invested in why? Not what we do. Yes, we do filmmaking, but why should they care? And then how can we build capacity on our team to do more things? Here's where we started. This was our brand guideline. I'm not even kidding. We had logos. And I would like to say that a brand is not a logo, even though we're spending a lot of time talking about logos. We're talking about a communication platform, right? We are talking about what does somebody say about you when you're not in the room? That is a brand. It starts with a logo, but it's so much more than that. But this is what we had to go from. So then I looked at student communications. We have 2 forms of communications at SpyHop. We have all the communication that we do to bring people into our brand. And then we have a lot of work that our students are creating to invite people to their radio show, to their open mic, to their whatever performance is happening. And you can see here that they're all over the map. Kids are all over the map, and it's great. This is a chance for them to lean into their vibe, their personality. This is part of the curriculum, teaching them how to promote an event. It's part of the curriculum. So when we think of something as part of the curriculum, that is not SpyHop. It doesn't have to be SpyHop. This is a lesson. So they don't have to follow our guidelines, and we let it go. And then we looked at our own communications, and we were all over the map.
Like all the student materials did have the brand.
It does have our logo,
logo,
yes. It does have our logo, but they may or may not look like the last event.
Right, exactly.
So from an audience perspective, they might not, even though the logo's there, they might not know that it's a SpyHop thing. Unless they're really invested, like this, I love cats, I'm gonna look at this whole sign. But then we got to our own things and we were like, huh, we also have our logo on these. And also, we're asking a lot of our audience to figure out what we're asking them to do. They have to know who SpyHop is, which is not even everyone in this room. They have to know what these branded events are, which I bet if I ask you now, like, who knows real stories? Who knows real stories? Right, so that's what we're up against. Most people don't even know these branded events, which to SpyHop, it's like, yeah, of course, this is Real Stories, this is Bitchnik, this is Heatwave, right? But it's a lot to get our audience into that. So we don't have visual consistency. We're asking so much from our audience to figure it out. And it's super time consuming for us to be constantly churning out these new graphics. So we said we need to start by defining some brand guidelines. And the way that we tackled this is, what's the next thing do? It was very strategic. And the next thing due was our impact report. So Mason is my graphic designer. Some of you may know him. He does that big community puzzle mural at the Arts. I'm spacing the name now. Yes, at Library Square. He does you paint a square and then he puts them all together. And he is our graphic designer and he's awesome. And so we looked at this and we said, well, we looked at the previous impact report, which had a list of things we had done. So if you go back and you say, we wanted to talk about why people should care, not what we do, our impact report was what we do. So we took a very different approach to this impact report, and we told stories about the people doing the work, including our students and our alum. And we talked specifically about one thing that we do, which is mentorship. So we don't say that we have teachers, we have mentors. They're full-time artists and they're mentors. And we use that as the anchor for our impact report, and everything we told as a story connected to mentorship. So we tried to have kind of an umbrella theme. Because when you do a lot of things, how do you decide what to report out? And I brought one for everyone today, so you can actually read these stories if you're interested. But this also set the path for us on like, how are we going to use our color palette and the logos, which is all we had, and talk about, have those set up guardrails for us. And then the next thing that came up was our apprenticeship showcase. This was one of the next event. And you can see, again, every time we did the apprenticeship showcase, we did it differently. So our considerations were, we need people to know it's immediately SpyHop. We need to think about who the audience is for this event. And this is primarily students and parents that come to this. It is open to the community, but our primary audience is students and parents, and we do it 3 times a year, which is a lot. So we came up with this identity. We're like, okay, we're leaning into this color palette. We're making it very clear what it is. We're making it very clear why they should come. Free food, bring a friend. If you read the print, and you can see that they're sharing their artwork, and here's where it is, okay? Then we had 2 more in the year, and we just repeated them. So the time that it took to do the first one was probably a week, maybe 2 weeks if you consider approvals and trafficking and tweaking, and then versioning it out. Now we can repeat that in less than a day. So we build capacity. And then we can use it in other touch points. We can use it on our slide deck and our photo booth. So it's a tool that reaches more mediums. And then our biggest event of the year is Pitchnik, which is November 6th, and is nearly sold out. So if you want to come, you get your ticket today. And we're doing it for free this year. So Pitchnik is a film premiere. It's 4 short films. The students make posters of their films, and then we had a poster which also competed with their posters. Looks like another film, and also not sure if you know it's SpyHop or if you know it's Pitchnik. If you went last year, does it look like the same event? We don't know. So we created a new identity this year that took a step back from being confused, I guess, as a movie poster, and more like just an umbrella for events. And then we tested it out, like what would it look like if we were to use this theme in future years. So we were testing, is this graphic flexible? Is it nimble? Because we don't want to repeat this graphic every year. We want it to be a little bit different, but we want it to feel like the event that we did last year. So if somebody came and loved it, they'll see this next year and be like, oh yeah, I went last year and loved this. I want to go again. So this is what we're testing out. And here you can see it all together. All the ones on the right are things that Mason has done this year for our key events. And they will, in the same way that we looked at Pitchnik, we can put a different vehicle on the real stories. We can put it, instead of a strawberry, it could be a different icon in the middle. So they can change a little bit, but keep the identity overall the same. People recognize it as SpyHop. People recognize it as the event, if they like the event. And then what you see in the top left is some social graphics. So what we're trying to do is roll out this look and feel across other mediums so that people start to recognize what SpyHop feels like. And we're really trying to move more into stories about people and why it matters, and away from the transaction, which Kelsey and I really lit up on. Previously, where we were asking people to do this, show up there, see this, give now, and we were never telling them why. And we were never telling them from the kids' perspective, which is what we're all about. And a lot of the success on that is down to systems, which if you're interested in that, we're gonna nerd out on that in the breakout session. Because these things don't just happen, you have to create a system in which they can happen. Because the goodness is there, you gotta tap into it. That's it, very different approach. For you, Sharon. Thank you.
So I do have to say one thing that I've heard a lot through all of our conversations together is we can tell what we're doing and we can tell you what's happening, but when the community tells your story for you, like, it makes what you do shine just a little bit brighter. And in this shameless plug, I'm gonna send you all a survey for your experience of this event that I would love if you'd fill out so that I can use your voices to promote future workshops and events. So I would just like to take a moment to please join me in thanking our panelists once again. And we do have some time for some questions in here first. So I'm going to walk around with a mic. If you have a question, I would like to request that you wait till I hand you the mic so that we can all hear your question. And then once we have a couple of questions, I'll tell you a little bit more about our breakout sessions. We'll take a little break and then we'll move on to the next part. So do we have any questions today for any of our panelists?
Hi. Hello, Kari with Utah Cultural Celebration Center. So our center has moved away from the rental model and now we're trying to make it a community hub. And we are having a little bit of a hard time now with advertising our events. Usually we try to make our events free and accessible to the community. And we're having a hard time with people seeing the value in that, with people actually wanting to attend. And our events are more driven by the groups rather than by the center itself. So do you have any tips or any feedback for me as we're advertising our events and trying to get people to trust the Utah Cultural Celebration Center as a place where they could come and see these events and go back to all the time to look for things happening in their community?
So anyone, feel free to jump in. I will say that one thing I picked up, I loved the word trust that you used because you're building relationships that people trust. So something that's happening, they know this next thing's gonna be great because it's at your center, right? But go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, that is a lot of what we're trying to do too. People have to know that every time they go there, they're gonna see something great, even if they don't know what it is. And that takes a little bit of time. But I would think that a lot of that is the storytelling and really explaining what happened and sharing the experience. One thing that I said to you this morning was we are trying to create digitally what happens when people walk into our building. Because anytime someone walks in our building, they say, I wish I had this when I was a kid. We want them to feel that way when they come to our site. But unlocking the storytelling is really, really difficult. And I would say that the people coming in probably have that storytelling and they need to know what you need to relay that story. So figuring out what the ask is, or what I'm gonna say formula, even though it's never one size fits all, but being clear about how you can turn their assets into a story, because I do think people provide assets. They'll give you a logo, a title, a date, they'll give you the details, but not always the why. So asking for that can help unlock the storytelling.
I would also say, my name is Taylor Callender. I work for Mill Creek City. as their marketing manager, and I think we've been really successful in programming our space, getting people there, and I think some of the ways that we do that are building all of the assets for the events and community groups with their input, of course, but just giving them a suite of things to use in every size. Making the event links super shareable and accessible for them. We also do a lot of layering of events, so we'll have food trucks with the harvest market, with a free skating class, with the launch of a new market on the first floor of our public market, so that all of our eggs aren't in one event's basket. That also means a ton of community partners are sharing on social media. And I would also just say time, like every year it's getting better and better, but it's difficult when you want immediate results. See, we're making friends here. Resources, I love that. Okay, Rachel, do you have a question?
I have a question. Now, I love oral storytelling, so I love stories, but I'm curious that in your advertising and marketing, do you use some level of visual storyboarding beyond like a logo or the actual poster itself? How often do you have those kind of visual activities with what you're working on for your marketing? That's an exclamation point, I guess.
Yes, so messaging goes really far away in marketing, obviously, but we dive into visual storyboarding and create mood boards to really create, in the beginning of a branding process, to really decide what visual messaging are we telling through pictures, like photo style guides, and even the graphic elements that you use with the brand. Yeah.
Just to follow up, because mood board sounds cool. Can you explain even more detail about a mood board?
Yes, for sure. So before starting visual branding, even before you design things yourself, a lot of the times we'll gather inspiration from other organizations or businesses that are working on their brand, or even just design elements to help inspire the direction that that visual brand identity is going to go. And it almost looks like a collage of, you can pick out color palettes, different image styles, and really put them all on one page to make sure they're working together cohesively as really just a springboard, almost a blueprint to inspire the next stages of the design rollout.
And I will add, go ahead and stalk your colleagues on social. This is how I found some of our presenters today. I was looking through our grantee list. Who has some great visual continuity on their Instagram, right? Like, can you feel who they are by just looking through that? And if you can feel it in your social and how you're posting, I think you're doing it right, you know? Or again, go stalk some other people that you admire and how they're showing up out there. Do we have other questions?
Thank you, Robbie Lee with Legacy Library. We're a nonprofit here. One thing I wrote down was rebranding is not recycling, but recentering. I think you all kind of touched on that. Could you describe to me, and you can too, Lindsay and Sadie, with the before and after, when is the best time for rebranding? Because I feel that in the business spectrum, outside of nonprofits, outside of what we do, it's when failure hits is when you rebrand. But you can rebrand. Red Butte Gardens never failed, so why rebrand now? What was the timing behind of it to get back to the recentering, and how did you find yourself lost?
Yeah, great question.
That's a great question.
So I started at Red Butte about 2.5 years ago, and one of the things that I was tasked with doing, and I think it was even in the job description, was start telling the behind-the-scenes stories of the garden. And that was coming from our, at that time, relatively new executive director, Derek Hansen, who's been at the garden for, I think, 23 years. And Derek came up through the ranks, started at the front desk, and then for a very long time ran the concert series as one of those people who was responsible for the growth of it. When he took over as director, at some point in there, he realized that the concert brand had really become top of mind for people. You know, if I'd asked you at the beginning of my presentation, what do you think of when you think of Red Butte? I'm sure a lot of you would have thought about the concert series, which is a testament to like the incredible work of my predecessors across departments in building that and the sort of iconic cultural event that it's become. So the challenge is that he wanted to broaden the garden brand and establish the garden as an industry leader and make sure people understand it's a place where horticulture is happening and why that's important, where conservation and research is happening, we're taking care of a wonderful space in the foothills, and really importantly, we're educating people of all ages across the valley about the value of living landscapes, which is only going to get more important locally, nationally, and globally as we go forward. So that was the moment, I would say, new leadership. But yeah, a little bit tricky because I came in going, this is so successful, this brand is so well established, let's first do no harm and figure out, how, and of course, the other little twist is that the concert landscape has gotten increasingly competitive. So we really need to make sure that we keep the concert series very healthy. It's part of the reason the organization is thriving. So figuring out how we elevate the garden brand and then wrap concerts into it as part of the story without diminishing the concerts as their sort of own brand. That's challenging. That's an ongoing question. So I hope that answers your question. It was sort of my being new, Derek being newish, and sort of seeing the organization a new way. And he started looking out well into the future. What do we want this organization to be 40, 50, 100 years from now? So a lot of planning going on for future growth and deepening our impact. And so it felt to me like a moment where we really figure out what the brand strategy is, and then it became clear that the visual piece, we needed to bring that along too. So.
Thank you, Mindy.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I'll just add, from the ZAP experience too. So last year, ZAP went through our reauthorization effort. So our job was education out in the community. So we went out in the community, and the number one question we got was, what is ZAP? Our name was not on our logo. So the first part of every single interaction we had with community members was, oh, it's Zoo Arts and Parks. And so we heard from the community that it was time to tell people who we were. So sometimes if you're out there listening, being out there a little bit more, you might get hints of when it might be time to tell your story differently. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and transition to the next part of our workshop. We do have a little bit of a break, so of course feel free to use the time to take a health break, grab some snacks, catch up with some friends. But I do want to let you know, so we have 4 breakout sessions. So our rumor team will be right outside these doors in the lobby. So they'll continue a conversation around exploring how you can define your brand identity and really telling your unique story with the community. If you'd like to continue talking with Kari, as she mentioned, really streamlining a lot of work to build capacity for your organization, simplify consistent assets. How do you do that? So she's going to be sitting right over here in our Centennial room. In the lobby, on the far end, closer to the stairs, we have Josie Garfield from Branch Out Social. She's right here in the back. She actually did a great virtual workshop for us earlier this year, really on social media tactics. So she's here to talk a little bit more about social media. Now, if you want to grow your engagement, there are ways to do that without a significant budget, really organic, practical strategies. Who are you following? How do you build connection with those community members that maybe our other community members are connecting with? So if you'd like to have that conversation more around your social media work, again, she'll be out in the lobby. And then right up here, we have our community engagement team. So ZAP is part of the Division of Arts and Culture, and these are our fellow community members. So we have Justin Green, who's over here, yes, and Cami Monk, yes. And they'll sit up here. One thing when you're in the public sector, lots of different stakeholders, lots of different voices and interests to balance. So if you really want to talk about how to strengthen your brand identity through your marketing and communication tactics, especially with the consideration of lots of various stakeholders and being accountable to the public, you're going to set up here and have that conversation. Also, a few reminders. As I mentioned, I'm going to send out a survey to you tomorrow. With that survey will be a link to where the recording for this session will be. It won't be ready right away, but I just want to let you know where it's going to live when it comes to fruition. And outside, again, you'll see the banners with our new logo. This really is letting us know what you want at your organization. Do you want a banner? Do you want a poster? Do you want some pens for giveaway? We'd love to know what you want. So we're kind of taking some orders out there. If you have questions, again, Cody, Johan is our amazing board member who's out there as well. And if you have questions, again, just let us know. Okay, so around 11:15, we'll start our breakout sessions. Okay, thank you.